move straight to Roujin Ghamsari, who's joining us today from NHS EI as the Deputy Director of People and Professional Development. Welcome, Roujin. Great to have you here today. The stage is yours, and hopefully we'll have time for some questions at the end as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Roujin Ghamsari. I currently work in the national team as Deputy Director of People, and I have the fun responsibility of professional development, and something I'm really passionate about. And if you've heard me speak in HPMA sessions before, apologies for me repeating myself, but I always get overly excited when HPMA asks me to talk or participate in anything, just because of the big role they've played in my professional development. So I will forever be grateful for the support that they've provided. I've joined the national team from Chelsea and Westminster, where I was the Deputy Director of People there. But I was on the first cohort of aspiring deputy directors program a few years ago, and I think it was the confidence, the help, the support that HPMA provided during that period of my career that really enabled me to get to where I am today. So I'll start with a big thank you to HPMA. You would have heard Prerna talk earlier about the Futures Report. I hope you've had a good opportunity to read it and digest some of the actions and what the future looks like for us as a profession. And I think if there was ever a time to be excited to work in HR and OG in the NHS, it's now. Of course, I'm biased, I would say that, but I genuinely believe it's such an exciting time. The future looks amazing for us in terms of how we can contribute to good quality patient care and what our role is in that journey. And what was great to see in the report, that it starts with highlighting that we are starting from a position of strength. Especially, I think this has been highlighted, heightened. You see it, I think, in all the meetings, and you hear the feedback that actually the support that HR and OD professionals provided in dealing with the pandemic has been amazing. And it's great for us to be able to demonstrate how we can support. What the report highlights is how we work at the moment is a great approach and effective to us in terms of our ways of working now, but considering how healthcare is changing, how the nature of work is changing, and the requirement of us and how we support the NHS in the future is different. So this will mean changes for us as a profession too, and how we provide people services to our NHS people. It will mean meeting new challenges, it will mean new opportunities, and it is really about how do we overcome those challenges, how do we work together as a system, how do we overcome the barriers in entering that transformation phase that we are all working on. So this will mean working differently for us too as a profession. It means spreading innovation, changing how we think, how we approach things, and we really want people professionals. We need to be at the forefront of that change. So if we're supporting our people with that, it needs to start with us and thinking about how we can do things differently. So in terms of professional development, which is what I'd like to discuss more with you all today, you would have seen the first 3 actions in the report that fall under the theme of professional development. So one is about professional standards, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The second action is about development being in our DNA, and third, one that's really actually close to me in heart, and I love the work HPMA have done in this space already, is people profession must be representative of the communities that we serve, and we need to lead by example. And the work that we've started already in this field in terms of bringing these actions to life starts with our professional body CIPD. So we are at the start of a very exciting journey with them too. We are in the process of signing an MOU with them, and I think that really reiterates the emphasis that we want to put on professional development and us generally as a profession and in terms of our direction in the NHS, and equally in terms of how CIPD see us as a key partner in HR and OD. So as part of that relationship, and you might think, what does an MOU mean for us? It is professional standards, which I will talk to you a little bit more about. It's about a bespoke NHS CIPD accreditation process for those going through experiential routes. It's about collaboration. So us contributing to research, us actually taking benefit of the research they've done. It's about building communities of practice outside of the NHS. And it's actually about us being part of conversations that will have an impact on what future of HR and OD looks like, and building that capability internationally. And we'll do that via CIPD. And in terms of the first action, which I said I'll come back to, is around professional setting NHS People Profession Map. So I don't know about you guys, but I've definitely been guilty of not using the CIPD Profession Map as much as I should have in throughout my career. I think feedback from colleagues and myself has been, it's too generic. It doesn't relate to me. I work in the NHS. It doesn't cover how we do things in HR and OD in the NHS. And we really wanted to look at that. Also, looking at what the NHS Futures Report told us in terms of the research stage, speaking to colleagues, speaking to stakeholders, speaking to our HR and OD community in terms of where the gaps are and how can we include all of that in our profession map. So we have started the work in terms of just agreeing what that draft skeleton could look like based on what we know already. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that, and also about next steps and how you can hopefully help us with that. So the report highlighted a few areas that we need to work on. EDI, I'll talk a little bit about EDI in particular, so EDI, digital and OD. So as for those who are familiar with the CIPD Profession Map, EDI currently stands under specialist area. Actually, what we said, people professionals working in the NHS, it is core to what we do. We need to have a good understanding of what those standards for every single person working in the people profession in the NHS is when it comes to EDI. So we're moving elements of what CIPD currently has under a specialist area to core, but of course keeping EDI as a specialist area too, because the role of EDI experts and EDI leads in our profession is something, it is different, but we're reflecting both. Similar with OD. So in terms of leading transformation, in terms of our skill set and mindset, there are elements of OD that needs to be part of our everyday practice, part of our core knowledge and skills. So we're working very closely with DoD and colleagues and OD colleagues in the NHS to see what parts should be core and what parts should we keep as experts. And it's similar around digital. So you'll see digital in core currently as in the CIPD map, but we're adding it as a specialist area also to reflect some of the bespoke needs of us in the NHS and some of the bespoke processes and systems that we need to use and be aware of. And that's key. And also in terms of when we were looking at behaviours, we looked at what resonates, what doesn't. And for us, the biggest missing point was patient care. Of course, the profession map as it stands refers a lot to customers, stakeholders, and I see that being very different to how we incorporate patient care in our everyday working lives as people professionals. So stakeholder management, absolutely important. Our customers, in terms of who we provide support to, is different to how we need to incorporate and have that patient care quality at the back and at the back of our mind and at the forefront of all of our decision making. So we're adding that as a new area too. So in terms of next steps, what we have just agreed is a very skeleton of what the profession map for us could look like in the NHS. That will we will test that in working groups. What we want to hear from is experts in the field when it comes particularly around specialist area, but people working in the people profession, various different levels, leadership, entry level, management level. We want everybody to participate to enable us to write a really good profession map that resonates with us and helps us develop in how we work at the moment. So it's a bit of a call to action. We'd love to have your support. If you're interested in contributing to the workshops, please do get in touch. But we will share some details about how you can participate in the coming weeks too. So you'll have an opportunity to take part. So really excited to develop something for us that's bespoke. And I see that very much as the very first step of how we can take this forward. So this product is something we will want to work with you on as a profession. It's a collaborative piece. It's not something that we want to write and say, here, we had a conversation with CIPD. This is what we think it will look like. This will be drafted in collaboration with HPMA, in collaboration with DOD. We don't want to we want to utilize the work that's been done in this field already and rely on that knowledge and expertise that already exists. So that's a little bit in terms of what's to come, and that we're really excited by it. Also, another part in terms of making sure development is in our DNA. We want to maximize the use of apprenticeships in developing our people. So we're working with CIPD in identifying key providers that can help us with apprenticeship programs. So you don't follow a separate CIPD accreditation and a separate apprenticeship program. How do we actually do that together, and what's the best way for us to develop our people? So I hope that's been a good summary of where we are in terms of initial stages of professional development following the Futures report. And I'd love to hear from you in terms of if you have any questions or comments. So over to you guys.
Roujin, thank you so much, and your enthusiasm is inspiring and infectious. So thank you so much. Got a question coming in, and people are saying thank you for your call to arms. Yes, for the opportunity for people to work together, but what will you do as a professional in the next 12 months in response to the report? What is your specific ask of people?
I think it's good. I think as a very first step, the way I see it, if I was working in a HR department leading various different functions or working in any team, is kind of looking at the report to see, first of all, what actions are for us to do, what can we expect from the national team, and what do we need to do as a system to help us assess where we are and what we need to do. And I think and I'm not just saying this because I work in the national team at the moment, but I think any opportunity to hear from you and any opportunity for you to comment on what's happening at national level will be really, really appreciated, because it's, as I said, it has to be a collaborative piece. We want to hear from you. We want, in terms of the national action, so I don't want it to be, oh, that's a national action, so it's not for us to do, but it's actually, how do you contribute to that and how do you drive that agenda together? And I think I want, in terms of what we're asking people, I want us to be excited, of course, about what the future holds, and just really hold ourselves to account as well, particularly when it comes to Action 3 and about how can we do things differently? How do we challenge ourselves in our practices? And are we representative of the communities that we serve? Of course, data tells us that we're not at the moment, but what can we do? What's our individual responsibility in driving change?
Thank you. And picking up on your enthusiasm for this, is there anything that it's inspired you to do, specifically yourself, in terms of your development and your path?
I've always been a bit of a HR geek. I genuinely love what I do, and I always have. It was an intentional career choice for me. what inspired me, I think so I've worked in a variety of different industries, started in banking, worked in retail, and ended up in the NHS. Initially, it was for me, sounds like an interesting role. I'll see how it goes, and then I'll go back to kind of private sector. But I think there's nothing rewarding for me that connecting what we do to how it contributes to patient care. But having been someone that myself, my family, my close family members, we're heavily reliant on what the NHS does and the services we provide. And it's something that's so unique to us as a nation that we need to treasure, and we need to kind of support it as much as we can in terms of looking after our patients. So that connection between what we do and how it contributes to patient care. It may sound cheesy, but I genuinely, it is true. We're not working for an organization that drives money or profit. Our main purpose is making patient lives better, and that is and we are all patients. I'm a patient. I've heavily relied on the NHS, and so has my family. Just how can we contribute to that?
Thank you, and a lot of love coming up when you talked about your passion for the NHS and keeping it strong and there and thriving. Victoria's asked a question in the Q&A box around HRBPs. So this is a role that is incredibly diverse. It may have the same title, it may have a different title, they work on different bands. Do you have a vision for the HRBP role, or roles similar to that, as they move to embrace OD skills and knowledge?
So I was a BP in a couple of organisations myself. I've led kind of HRBP team, so it's one that's definitely close to my heart. And this is probably something I can talk about forever, but I will stop myself. I think we're people, HR business partners. I think the term is we're people partners. We need to be part of that transformation. And I think that's where some of the EOG skills come from. I think if you think about where BPs are at the moment, you can be a BP from a variety of different backgrounds. So I think what I would say to people who are working as business partners at the moment is take a look at your background, find out what those gaps are. Is it OD? Is it ER? Is it recruitment? To find yourself, to find out a little bit more. But I would say the focus would be transformation, therefore OD skills, and that OD mindset becomes more important than ever. And not just organization development, but organization design also, particularly moving to systems approach and ICSs. I think we need to have a good understanding of how we contribute to that transition and transformation.
Thank you. And Paul Beale has asked, following on from what you've just said, around that developing that OD capacity and capability, perhaps not just in the HRBPs, but broader across the profession. How are we going to do that?
So I think DoD have a fantastic program. They do a lot in this area. I'm not just saying that because Karen Devane sits in our team. But I think there's a lot of interesting things going. If you haven't had a look at the what DoD do at the moment, have a look. If there's anything you think we should be doing differently, definitely get in touch and let us know. But it's a variety of different approaches. Some could be online learning, some could be coaching and mentoring, some could be particular courses. So I think we have a catalogue of information available via DoD, including online training. So I think it's definitely exists at the moment. But if there's anything else that we could be doing, let us know.
Brilliant. And one last question. If you were writing the advert for somebody thinking about joining the HR profession in the NHS, what would you be telling them around their journey and what they can expect?
Oh, that's a fun question. I think, and maybe the way I'll answer this is where we want it to be, what me and my team are working on at the moment. We're at the start of the journey, and we definitely have talked to a lot of HR directors and CPOs about this. So what we want the people profession in the NHS, where we want it to be a training ground. We want it to be a profession that any aspirant people wanting to start their career in HR and OD, they want to come to us, learn, and then if they choose to move on, that's fine. But we want to be known as the people profession, as the profession in the NHS that people come to learn, to develop, and then take their expertise elsewhere if that's what they decide to do. Also, we want it to be a welcoming profession. So if you decide to go expand your expertise elsewhere and then come back and bring that back to the NHS, fantastic. So we want to make sure that we have a happy profession, that even if they decide to take a break from the NHS or kind of expand their expertise in a different industry, that they will come back to us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Roujin, fabulous. Really enjoyed hearing you speak today, and thank you for responding to our questions. You've given us our homework. We need to take that away. We need to look at it. We need to respond. We need to spread the word in our own organisations and get as much feedback so that we're a part of this and we're stakeholders. So it's important you hear from us as well. So thank you so much. Real pleasure having you here today.